Hello, world. Welcome to part three of creating a podcast monitoring tool in Python. Um, Last time we created this markdown file to track the kind of work that we were doing, and we checked off a couple tasks here, the prototyping of the JSON reader and the prototyping of the web requests. Very simple code just to kind of use a couple of these modules, the JSON and the requests module, to do a couple of the basic functions that we need for the logic side of things. I did add in a couple links that I had done research-wise for the prototyping. I've also added in some links when I was looking up kind of the Twitter API that'll be used to essentially take the information that this tool discovers about the podcasts, and we're going to use the API and probably some modules in Python to kind of tweet it out. So this is some of the basic information I was using to kind of look stuff up. When we get there, maybe I'll kind of pull some of those up and go through them. But at least for now, I'm just going to kind of store them in this markdown. This, if you remember, was added into the git ignore, so stuff like that not necessarily coming up. So we're still pretty much clean on everything. We can hop into the XML prototyping. So that's what we're going to start with this time. Not as used to working with XML, so I'm going to do similar things as I did last time with kind of looking up some stuff and prototyping out some code. We'll see how that kind of goes. When we finish that up at the end, we'll probably go ahead and add some more kind of deliverables and tasks of the next few things to work on. And then, maybe have some time to kind of start on that. What I'm thinking is there's kind of two ways to go once you kind of get this prototyping done. We can either go ahead and prototype out some of this kind of Twitter-related things, or we can go ahead and kind of turn these prototypes into some more robust code. I'm thinking about leaning towards the latter on that because even if regardless of what we kind of do with the Twitter stuff, whatever is produced from all this kind of code that we've been prototyping about reading in the RSS feed, that whole sort of module of reading that we'll be able to still print out to the we'll still be able to print all that out into the command line, and we'll also be able to use that and kind of send it anywhere, right? So let's say Twitter shut down the API, we could always go ahead and come up with something to comment on the YouTube videos that the people who make these podcasts also put out. So there's kind of a break there in stuff. So probably do a little bit of that and then jump over to the Twitter stuff and then kind of go back and forth as we see fit. So that said, let's get started. Let's start out with prototyping out this XML stuff. So of course, got to come in, mark this in progress because this is what we're kind of working on. Last task of the RSS feed deliverable here. And we'll just kind of add this into this same sort of prototype here. Just to make sure we have a clean run before we start, I'll just run this real quick. It doesn't actually print anything out, so as long as it just runs without error, which it won't do if I run it right now because I don't have the environment open. So just to kind of demonstrate that, let's say I were to just kind of run this prototype, I'm going to get an error from the request module not being imported. And the reason for that is because if you'll remember, if I look at pip freeze, I'll see that I have some different things that I kind of use outside of this that are installed here, but I don't have the requests module. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go start up the virtual environment script that we have here. And now if I do pip freeze, instead of seeing those other kind of modules that are just locally installed, you'll see I now have the requests and related modules that I need for that. So now if I go ahead and run this, it'll run without error. And so we kind of have a clean thing to start kind of working on. So let's switch over to the web browser over here, and we will check out XML. And so again, if you remember from last time, we kind of have this little basic thing here, beautiful soup, and this XML element tree. I'm going to actually open up the Geeks for Geeks because I don't actually want to use beautiful soup. It kind of does a bunch of stuff more than what I really care about, and I kind of want to just do some simple kind of XML reading. And so, while this certainly might be nice to use, I think I'm going to stick with some of the more basics for this. And I'm going to use the element tree here. And I'm going to parse it using this. Now this is a path to an XML document, so we'll see if we can actually parse the string, because if you remember, we'll have the string inside the code already that we've read in, and we don't necessarily want to write that out to a file. Those sort of I/O operations are going to be a little much, but this looks like at least something that we can kind of start with and go from there. And what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to open up the RSS feed for, so this is the RSS feed that we're reading. So we can, I'm going to have this open as well, so we can kind of use this as a reference. We're looking for the kind of items here. We'll probably read some basic data about the feed in. Probably not going to end up using it too much since we know what feed we're reading. Maybe it's just like a check, but see if we can grab some of this kind of information from these kind of episodes, and grab some of the data. And as long as we can do that, that kind of is enough of the prototype, so we can kind of then go about from there, kind of turning stuff into kind of real code. So let's switch back, and we can first check if the XML library is built in, because I actually don't know, and it looks like it is, so that should be good. I'm going to use the same sort of construct, say from eTree import element tree as, and then I've seen this actually a lot that they use ET. So a lot of things you'll see, so I'm just to clarify this here, right? I can import directly element tree, and these are the same, these are equivalent. Not really much difference there. I just kind of like this general construct a little better. And especially for things like this, where I might be getting like specific functions and stuff, as opposed to this class here. I'm going, it's just kind of like a little nicer construct to kind of pare things down. It's also possible, I guess, let's see if I'm doing from element tree, can I import? No, so it looks like it is more of a static class. So I'm just going to leave that as is. And then the as keyword basically is just kind of a rename. So instead of having to type element tree, which I spelled incorrectly here, instead of typing like element tree all over the place, I can just type ET, and that'll be that class that I'm using. I am going to retry since I was spelling incorrectly. I do want to see if I do this. Import parse. No. Okay. Or actually, it looks like I could do that if I wanted to. Do I need other... Actually, it looks like that's all I need. So I'm just going to try to import this and see if that works out, since it doesn't look like I need other functions from there. Okay, so let's check out parse. Let's see if the intelligence has anything. So source file to read from parse XML documents. So file containing XML data. All right, so it looks like this is probably not going to work as is, because we actually have the data as a string. Print type RSS data. So check this out. Okay, so it's bytes, but turn into a string. Oh, we have to decode it, regardless. All right, check this out. All right, so it looks like it works, but it looks like it's also printing. Looks like it's also printing it out. So it looks like it does work. So we'll just say tree equals that, and let's print type of tree. What am I printing here? Is this printing from the... I wonder if this is printing... from the tree element? From the parse? Yeah, so it looks like it's actually printing from the parse, which is weird. I don't know why it would do that. Unless there's maybe an error, which I'll have to scroll up to kind of see what's going on. All right, let me just verify that. So nothing should pop up here. All right, open up command line real quick. All right. Scripts activate. Let's do Python prototype. Let's add this back in. All right, let's see what happens. So it prints out everything. At least this does it super quick. Okay. Okay, yeah. So that's the reason it's printing it as, because it's printing it as an error because it's trying to parse it. So, so instead, all right, let's switch back over here. So we need to figure out. Alright, so it looks like this Stack Overflow should be decent to using a string. Okay, so it looks like there's this from string here, which is great. So instead of using parse, we'll use that. That makes a lot of sense, obviously. So we can use this and update here. And now we'll run it. Great, okay. So now let's print out the type of the tree. Should be an element tree, or an element. And so now root. So now we can print out tree.get root. Let's see what comes up here. No element get root. Geeks for Geeks is lying to me. Get the parent tag of the XML. Printing the parent root tag of the XML along with its memory location. Let's check out anything else over here. Sub-elements. So we're creating. All right, so we need to find. Let me switch back over. All right, so for some reason this tree get root, which I believe I spelled correctly. I wonder if actually no, it could be here. Let me try something. It could be because it reads it once, and so the moment I do this type, it doesn't work anymore. So let me try that real quick. No, definitely not. Okay. Is there anything I can get from this tree dot? So I can get nothing interesting here. So let's try get element attribute. All right, so let's just try this get and see if this helps us out here. So I'm going to open up this RSS feed and let's just try channel, or no. It's items, a sub. Let's just do channel for now. See if this works at all. Okay, no. All right. Why don't I'm just gonna print the tree and see what comes out. Element RSS. Okay, and so channel is under there, so it should be tree extend find. Let's see what items puts out. So at least it does have the main element, so we're getting somewhere. That's the root element, and then it has version. And it has version 2.0, which is one element. So that's interesting. So it doesn't have the. So if I pull up this again, so it doesn't have any of these XML and S in it for some reason, but it does have this version 2.0. And so it looks like the items is grabbing the kind of attributes that are in here as opposed to these kind of child elements. So what else do we got? Tree dot attrib? I don't know what that is. Let's find out. Okay, so yes, yeah, so this is just the attributes. So it's the same thing as items. So it's not really all that useful. Append, clear, extend, find all, find text, get, insert, iter, find, keys? Let's see what keys does. Again, just the version. Which I don't really want. I'm going to turn it a string, see what happens. Okay, nothing useful. All right, well, so if we can assume this is the root instead of the tree, because the parse gives the tree, maybe this is just giving the root. And so if I'm looking at kind of the documentation from the root, it then uses square brackets and grabs elements indexed using the square brackets. So let's try this. And this is what the prototyping is going to be like. All right, so now we got channel. So that's better. We're finding other things. And so channel is this first one here. I wonder if I tried... So I wonder if I could try using the finds actually to get this, because I would like to not use these indexed like that. That would be like great if I didn't have to do that. So find tag name. Okay. So let's try this. All right, great. So it matches, same thing. And we're on that element, right? So now, for example, I could say the channel equals tree.find channel. So again, that'll match. So we'll have 3 of those in a row. And then let's try print channel.find. So under channel, we have image, content. Well, I guess let's find the title. That sounds like a decent one to go with. So let's find title, no caps. Okay. Great. The other thing I'm interested in is can I use find? Can I do find channel dot? Or no, can I do tree.find and then go channel and then title? Will this find the same thing? Great. So I can kind of do that, and I'm sure if I do it with these brackets, it also works. No, it does not. All right, interesting. So using a forward slash. Here we can kind of jump down. So that basically is the equivalent of, let me print out. So these are equivalent. So instead of having to go and do this, or doing find.channel.find title, I can just chain it that way. And so now I have the title. So title equals tree.find, or I'm going to call e.title. So I'm going to kind of name the variable this way, right? And so there's plenty of ways to name variables. There's plenty of ways to use kind of cases and do all this different thing. So one thing that's kind of nice is to have the variable obviously say what it's doing, as opposed to just saying x equals something, right? As you kind of see up here with, I'm like naming, this is RSS data, this is the podcast URL, right? But it's also kind of nice to know what type it is. And so you'll kind of see certain things where, like, you know, people use I for integer, S for string. So I might say, like, E title is going to be the element of the title, and string title is going to be the actual string value. This way, one, I can kind of name them the same thing. I don't have to be like title string or something like that, so it's also shorter. And so it's just kind of an easy convention that I've learned about actually recently that I kind of enjoy using for different things. So we got tree.find channel title. And then now we're actually going to use the, I guess the items. So e-title dot, and do I want, what was it, attributes, I think this, and this is, and then I can get, well, that's actually the value of it. All right, hold on. We'll come back to this in a second. I guess that's what we're doing because we're going to do this other stuff. So let's get rid of this. So now I need to get the actual value that's in here. Is there a value? Value, no. Text. And now we can print out that. So this should be the text name of the podcast, the Le Batard and Friends Network. Let's see if we got it. All right, great. So now, honestly, we really don't need any of this crap anymore. So I'm just going to delete it because we at least have the functions that we kind of want to use for things. I mean, I guess I could leave around. No, I don't really care about any of that. All right, so now the other thing we have to do is, what about so we have the title. Pull this up. Is there any other information in here we kind of care about? Right, so we don't care about like the image or the description. One-stop feed, debatable. That's why we're here. You won't miss a show here. Again, that's debatable. That's why we're here. So let's see. We have. Oh, see, another thing, right? You could always email them. So again, if we didn't do the Twitter thing, we could always email them and be like, hey, by the way, you haven't posted this yet, and send automatic emails. But so let's see. Do we care about if it's explicit? No. Episodic. It's subtitle or it's summary, which are the same. So we have content. Don't care about that. The iTunes owner. Image. So yeah, we don't care about any of that stuff. So the items is what we're actually going to care about. And so these are just summed up item by item. I'm going to drop down to the bottom here, find like the last item. Basketball Illuminati. And then, so if you close this, close the Cooligans. And then so just close that. So it's literally, after that, just a list of items. So I should be able to use the find, instead of the find, I should be able to use the find all. And so we'll say episodes, or is there a word for what you call a podcast? Let me switch back over to this main screen again. Is there a word for what you call the podcast? I don't think so. I'm just going to call it episodes. And it's actually going to be a list of elements. So I could do like LE, which is funny. But because it's... I'm going to use that. I'm going to use this episodes because it's obviously plural. And so it's elements, but it's multiple of them. I mean, again, this is just the prototype anyway. So the final thing that we return will probably end up breaking them down more as we go. But this should just be tree.findAll. Is there find iter? Was that what that was? No, find text. Find all. And we want channel, title, and item. And so this should be a list of episodes. I'm going to type it out. Yes, we got a list. And let's check out the length. How many episodes are on this feed? Oh, because it's probably an iterable. So the moment I did that, so I'm sure if I do this, and I remove this here. So because it was iterable, I'll probably iterated through them all, and so now it doesn't have anything. No. Okay. Well, that is what it is. So let's add this back in. Get rid of that. Go here. Episodes 0. See what we get. List out of range. So they are called, do I have the right, I don't think they're under anything else. Let me just close all these things. All right, well, maybe we'll have to iterate over ourselves. I don't know. Let's find out. Interesting. Got channel. Oh, I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have kept title there. There we go. All right, so now we should be able to do the length. So yeah, that was why I didn't actually find anything. It was 0 because I was looking at channel title items as opposed to. So I was here. I was looking at channel title, and then there's not items. I want channel items because it's just flat like that. So come back over. All right, length of episodes. All right, so it's 200, just the 200 most recent, I guess. I wonder if there's a way to look up the older ones or what, but So let's go. Let's do. We're kind of running short on time here, so let's just kind of look at some of the elements of this real quick, and we'll end up just ending on this prototype. So let's see. So we have the title, the description, the pub date, summary, duration, and the enclosure and the URL. Okay, so let's just grab some of these things real quick and just kind of print them out for this first one. So this is where maybe I should do the double type. Okay, so we want episode. Let's start with the first one. Print episode. And what was it? It was. So these are elements. So find title. Dot text. So this should print out. Was it Cinephobe? Is the latest one. Great. Cinephobe, Bad Boys. All right. So now, just add a few more of these in here. So let's say the other interesting things, description. What else do we care about? The description, the pub date, which you might want to end up converting at some point. Summary looks the same. Encoding, don't care about. iTunes, duration. And then this will be empty, but let's go and find enclosure. And I think I can actually update some of these. iTunes. Duration. Did I spell that wrong? No, let's just get rid of it for now. All right, so we have the pub date. Learn more about your ad choices. Oh, no, okay. So this is the kind of long description. So Cinephobe. This is the long description. What I'm going to do real quick to make it more, I'm going to replace the new lines with just a double space to kind of shorten it up. So now it's just kind of in here, nice and shorter. We got the pub date, which we'll have to convert into something actual, and then couldn't find anything here, which makes sense because what we actually want from this is we want the attribute, and that was item, or let's go items first. What does this return? What type is this? Is this a list or is this a? So this is okay. So that's what if I do the attrib. This is a dictionary, I believe. So I should be able to just say this URL. All right, so that's the URL to the podcast. Checks out. And what if we did find text? I think this is actually fine for what we kind of want. Yeah, so that matches the same. So I'm just going to update these all for these. And then I'm not going to worry about that one for now. Do we actually use that tree.find? So actually we can make this find text. And go, okay. So now we've got the name of the network. We have this list with 200 items. looking at episode 0, and then when we grab it, we get the title, the description, the pub date, and the actual URL. The other thing that will be interesting is the duration. And so because that's with a colon, I wonder if it's directly under the thing there. So let me do this real quick. Let me go print episode. What do we got here? Do we have anything? Keys? Let's try keys. No. Enclosure. So is this the one we want? 9 GUID. Alright, so let's just, can I do this? Let's see if I can do that. 11, okay. For E in this. Print. So this, let's see if this works. Okay, so this is why so like they have the pub date, description, the title, closure, the GUID. The duration is actually labeled like this, where iTunes is, I wonder if that's, I guess that's probably described in one of the schemas or whatever. But so it's, this is actually what we want for the duration. So if we do that, we should get the duration now. Yeah, and that was 5. Yeah, and that matches. So now we have all the kind of the relevant information. I'm going to update this one as well. So we kind of have all the relevant information here that we want. We have we can get the podcast name, we can get the name of the network here, we can get the podcast name, we can get the description of the podcast, when it was published, how long it is, and the actual link to it. And this way, I got some of this. I think the most likely when we're doing a comparison between feeds will be this, because I'm assuming they're going to link to the exact same. I'm assuming they're not uploading 2 different versions of. I really hope they're not uploading 2 different versions of the MP3. I'm assuming they're just linking to that same one from the 2 different feeds. So we can kind of do that comparison later. But with that said, that's basically enough. We have enough here to really say, okay, we can kind of use this information to construct something that will read in these feeds. So let's go ahead and mark this completed. And then we can do the same for the deliverable. We have now prototyped out all the reading of the RSS feed. Do a quick commit of this. So git diff, this is all this XML stuff. So we'll check out the log. Git commit, create prototype, code for XML reading. Great. So now we've committed that. And everything's kind of nice and clean here. So running about 40 minutes. So let's just quickly kind of, I guess, put in some of the other things to do here. So I'm going to say what we'll start on next time. So we have this 5, which will be create RSS feed reader class. And then we'll also have prototype Twitter, should I call it? Write to Twitter via API. And we'll say that's open as well. Create RSS feed reader class. Do I want to add... So as far as the creating here, create tracer for RSS feed reader class using TDD. So tracer TDD, test-driven development. So it's the idea of basically writing out a test for it first, and then actually writing out the actual code that kind of completes the test. And it's a general good way of development. It's not, I mean, definitely not used all the time. I don't use it like all the time for things, but it's really a good habit. And so honestly, the more often you kind of get into that, the better. Tracer is essentially, I'm creating it's like a through line, right? Where I want to create this RSS feed reader class to really do like one thing, and have that one thing work. So starting from the feeds.json and getting to a construct of the episode data, basically end to end do that and kind of have it just do like one aspect of that, and then add in features to do kind of extra things. So those are going to be the two things. We're going to start with this one here, and so next time we'll start out, we'll task it out, we'll add in some kind of tasks for it. Honestly, this is already kind of broad, and so it's like, oh, should I actually, because this is going to probably be formed out of other subclasses. I'm probably going to create classes to do all these different prototype things and then combine them into this. But we'll start with that, and then we'll kind of build out from there. So we got all the prototyping done, and then we'll kind of do a little bit more software development magic next time. So went a little longer than the last couple episodes, but we also got a decent amount done. We were doing something kind of new, so that's always good, and it was kind of fun to work out. So hope that was interesting, and next time we'll continue with writing some more software. So see ya.